Greetings, fellow researchers, and welcome to our presentation that's entitled Cultivating Positive ICT Perceptions, an application of the MST-tree model to the Guyanese Girls Code Initiative. My name is Penelope DeFreitas, and I am presenting this research project on behalf of a four-member team from the University of Guyana's Department of Computer Science. The inspiration for our project was drawn from the projected ICT skills deficit for the next decade, as well as the alarming global and national statistics on gender disparities in the field. Statistics show that by 2025, Europe is projected to have 1.67 million unfilled vacancies for ICT professionals. This demand will further increase by 2030 with 90% of jobs requiring digital skills and 50% of current jobs being transformed due to automation. Examining global statistics more closely revealed that there is a severe underrepresentation of females in the field of ICT. For instance, in 2016, women in the European Union accounted for only 17% of all ICT students at the secondary and tertiary level. Similarly, between 2009 and 2019, male graduates outnumbered females in the computer science department at the University of Guyana. During this period, the highest percentage of female graduates was 38.6%. To mitigate this issue of female underrepresentation in the field, as well as the ICT skills deficit, leaders across the world have been facilitating education-driven initiatives to positively impact the ICT labor market. These initiatives tend to align with the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. More so in the areas of quality education, gender equality, and reduced inequalities. For instance, the French government founded the Grande École du Numérique or GEN to make digital skills training readily available to its citizens. Within a 3-year span, GEN trained over 27,000 individuals and had a 74% success rate. The Guyanese government has also aligned a number of its initiatives with gender equality and female empowerment. In 2018, the Ministry of Public Telecommunications, in collaboration with the National Center for Educational Resource Development and the University of Guyana, launched the Guyanese Girls Code program. This program was geared at introducing young girls to the field of ICT as well as 21st century competencies such as problem solving and creativity. My team was intimately involved in the development of the Guyanese Girls Code program. During the development stages of the program, we consulted existing studies to help us understand gender perceptions towards ICT in secondary schools. The literature around gender and ICT perceptions in secondary schools indicate that gender-based differences in ICT participation become significantly more apparent at the lower secondary level when students have the option to specialize in their choice of subjects. In fact, a number of researchers have presented evidence to suggest that female students progressively lose interest in STEM-related subjects from approximately age 11 unless targeted interventions begin at the lower education levels. To understand and analyze this waning of female interest, various studies have investigated the factors influencing female perception of and participation in ICT related subjects. One particular study by Anderson and others in 2006 revealed that female students express a strong aversion to computers and tend to perceive ICT related subjects as boring. This has been linked to various motivational theories. For instance, aversion can be associated with negative perceptions of self efficacy within Bandura's social cognitive theory, while boredom would more relate to Vroom's value expectancy theory. However, perception and participation would have also been examined from the perspective of ICT curricula and pedagogy. In fact, a number of studies show that across diverse contexts, instruction and pedagogy are often teacher centered and lacking in opportunities for students to contextualize their skills and collaborate with peers through engaging and challenging tasks. This tends to have a negative impact on female participation and perceptions of ICT. On the other hand, it has been found that positive perceived teacher expectations, parental support, students' perceptions of creativity, and relevance of learning activities all tend to be associated with positive ICT perceptions and self efficacy. These findings strongly relate to value expectancy theory, as parents and teachers can positively influence students' perceptions about the importance, usefulness, and appropriateness of computing through their expressed support and use of ICT. Apart from understanding ICT perceptions, my team also uncovered some popular tools that have been used to positively impact students' preparedness for the 21st century. These tools included the BBC Microbit and the Scratch programming platform. The BBC Microbit is a physical computing device that was designed as an affordable, powerful, and easy to use learning tool. Despite its small size, this device comes loaded with components such as an accelerometer, thermometer, LEDs, and buttons, thus allowing flexibility in the types of learning activities that can be explored. Today, there are approximately 4 million microbits in circulation in over 60 countries. After being exposed to the microbit, students have largely reported positive experiences. For instance, they found the tool to be easy to use, hands-on, enjoyable, and useful for problem solving. Interestingly, students who normally struggled academically demonstrated competency in programming with the microbit. Furthermore, students' creative abilities were exercised, and some even felt a sense of ownership when allowed the freedom to work on projects of their choice. Teachers have also expressed good reviews about the microbit. They indicated that the subject was more enjoyable for their students. Some teachers who were less confident about programming reported that they felt more confident after being exposed to the microbit. Many also expressed their willingness to continue using the microbit as a learning tool in the classroom and recommended that it should be applied nationally for teaching programming. The Scratch programming platform is another unconventional tool that has been receiving attention from the education community. It has proven to motivate students and empower them to continue their studies in programming. In contrast, only a minority who use a standard programming environment expressed the same interest. The platform also offers creative elements that are favored by students, such as game creation, animation, and world building. Examining the influence of unplugged versus plugged activities along with Scratch for teaching programming revealed that there was no significant difference in the students' ability to master the concepts. However, those students that were exposed to the unplugged activities were more confident of their ability to understand the concepts, and they used a wider range of Scratch blocks to program. This finding suggests that unplugged activities may be a possible strategy for educators to teach introductory programming. To inform curriculum design and teaching strategies for the Guyanese Girls Code program, the MST-tree model was developed. This model took the form of a tree, which metaphorically represents professional growth in the ICT field. The three major sections of the MST model include the motivational base, support system, and teaching components for the program. The motivational base is concerned with inspiring students to persist and engage in the program and includes elements such as role models, teacher perception, parental involvement, and emphasis on the social applications of ICT. Aptly named, the support section reflects the important role of government resources and professional training in facilitating programs of this nature. Lastly, the MST-tree model outlines teaching components that can enable effective learning in the ICT classroom. The major teaching components of the model include strategic activities such as peer programming, plugged and unplugged activities, a conducive environment for working, ownership, and 21st century skills such as problem solving, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. The Guyanese Girls Code Initiative was designed as a 12-week pilot program for grades 7 to 9 girls in Guyana. The girls were not required to have any previous experience in programming. However, basic computer literacy was a prerequisite. A total of 56 girls were enrolled in the program. Classes were held weekly for 4-hour sessions, which were spread across two separate groups. The first group consisted of 36 students from schools with the highest academic ranking in the country, while the second group consisted of 20 students from average and low ranking schools. Both groups, however, were exposed to the same curriculum and activities for the program modules. Each group was assigned a teacher and a teaching assistant. The teachers were female lecturers from the University of Guyana's Computer Science Department, and the teaching assistants were third-year bachelor's in computer science students. The teachers developed the curriculum and facilitated the sessions, while the teaching assistants provided in-class support to the students. Additionally, the teachers and teaching assistants were all professionally trained to teach programming with physical computing devices in conjunction with supportive pedagogical strategies. With respect to the curriculum, the Computer Fundamentals and Scratch Programming module spanned the first 6 weeks of the program. The students were introduced to the fundamentals of hardware and software, female pioneers, ethics in computing, fundamentals of algorithms, programming fundamentals and problem solving, the Scratch interface, and code blocks related to loops and conditional statements. These concepts were taught using plugged and unplugged activities, such as Hour of Code and How Computers Work. Further, to encourage collaboration as a core teaching component of the model, the activities were conducted in pairs or groups. During this module, the girls also worked on various class projects, which stimulated creative thinking, problem solving, and ownership of their work. They also participated in a Women in STEM movie day, which allowed for greater student to student and student to teacher socialization. The BBC Microbit module spanned 5 weeks. The first few sessions, the students were introduced to the fundamentals of the microbit. However, due to the fact that both Scratch and the microbit use the Blockly programming library, it was not necessary to reintroduce the students to fundamental coding concepts that were covered in the Scratch module. The students instead were engaged in targeted activities to reinforce their understanding of programming concepts. They also explored the physical features of the microbits and built games. Towards the end of this module, the students were put into groups and assessed on their ability to create and present a project using either Scratch or the microbits. This emphasized the ownership and communication aspects of the teaching model by fostering creativity and encouraging students to express themselves to their peers and teachers. The students also attended a STEM event as a class field trip so that they could gain further insight into career opportunities and projects within the ICT field. conclude the program, a summative assessment was conducted. It was a written and practical examination that contained knowledge and application type questions related to the course modules. Apart from the general training and assessment section, the class environment was made conducive to interaction and learning through icebreaker activities, open discussions, pep talks, and constructive feedback from the teachers. To gather information on the girls' ICT background and their evaluation of the program, a voluntary survey was conducted. 30 of the 56 students from the program participated by answering a mix of qualitative and quantitative questions. The first part of the survey investigated initial perceptions and expectations, as well as strengths and weaknesses of the program, while the second part focused on the students' general perceptions and their potential career paths. A summative analysis of the participants' responses was conducted under the following themes: enrollment and expectations, interesting aspects of the program, self perceptions and projections, and student recommendations. The findings in this research showed that a significant number of female students enrolled in the program because they were interested in learning about computers and computer programming. It was interesting to note that a number of students enrolled to benefit from healthy social interactions and opportunities for increased participation and communication. It was also evident that some students were already thinking about future careers as they were able to connect ICT to their future career paths. A number of interesting aspects stood out as well. For instance, a vast majority of the students were interested in areas such as problem solving, logical thinking, and algorithm design. Similarly, a large number of students found the Scratch module as being most interesting. Strikingly, an overwhelming majority indicated interest in the microbit module despite finding it more challenging. In the area of self-perceptions and projections, our study revealed that a large number of students expressed confidence in programming with Scratch and the microbit. This is noteworthy since some students initially perceived programming to be difficult, scary, and boring. Such results may suggest high levels of self-efficacy among the students, as they were motivated to engage in microbit-related activities and the program at large despite negative preconceptions. This self-efficacious attitude may have been influenced by the motivation components of the MST-tree model. For instance, the parents and guardians were highly involved throughout the program and followed up on the students' progress and performance. The programming modules and associated pedagogies may have also contributed to the students' change in perception. The students identified a few recommendations for improving the Guyanese Girls Code Initiative. For instance, some students indicated that the duration of the sessions were quite lengthy. Therefore, the possibility of offering shorter sessions or reducing the number of hours per session could be explored in subsequent iterations and similar interventions. Additionally, follow-on courses and exposure to a wider variety of programming languages were considered potentially beneficial. These findings may imply that the students welcomed training opportunities of this nature and are motivated to further develop their skills. Some students also mentioned that the sessions could benefit from more practical and group-based activities. However, interestingly, a larger part of the sessions involve students doing practical activities in teams. Nonetheless, the students' recommendations signal their appreciation for hands-on and collaborative tasks. Hence, more engaging team activities can be explored when teaching the theoretical concepts of programming. From these findings, the MST-tree model appears to have been successful in supporting effective pedagogy and confronting negative perceptions of ICT when teaching the girls in the Guyanese Girls Code Initiative. It may therefore have a wider applicability in guiding the design of similar training programs, curricula, and strategies used to teach young girls ICT related subjects. In closing, we would like to acknowledge the following key stakeholders. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation on cultivating positive ICT perceptions and application of the MST-tree model to the Guyanese Girls Code Initiative.